Taeyong stood at attention in the briefing room of the Terran Defense Corps headquarters. His commanding officer, General Hayes, slid a data pad across the metal table. The holographic display showed an alien female with skin that seemed to glow from within, shifting between soft blue and purple hues. "This is Princess Valira of the Luminari Empire," General Hayes said. "You're going to escort her through Kryn space to the neutral zone. The Luminari asked specifically for a human protector." Taeyong picked up the data pad and studied the image. The princess looked delicate, almost fragile. Her species was known across the galaxy for their advanced technology and diplomatic skills, but they were not warriors. Their bodies could not handle the stress of combat or harsh environments. "Why do they want a human, sir?" Taeyong asked. General Hayes smiled slightly. "Because humans are stubborn. We don't quit, even when we should. The Luminari have seen our combat records. They know that when a human says they'll protect something, they mean it." 3 days later, Taeyong arrived at Diplomatic Station 7, a massive structure floating at the edge of Luminari territory. The station was beautiful, all crystalline structures and soft lighting. It felt more like an art museum than a military installation. Guards from a dozen different species walked the corridors, but Taeyong noticed they all carried light weapons. These people were not prepared for real war. He found Princess Valira in a meditation chamber overlooking the stars. She turned when he entered, and her skin immediately shifted to a bright pink color. Taeyong had read about Luminari biology. Their skin changed colors based on their emotions, like a living mood ring. "You must be Sergeant Taeyong," she said. Her voice was melodic, almost musical. She spoke perfect English with just a slight accent. "I am very pleased to meet you." Taeyong bowed slightly. "Your Highness. I'm here to get you safely to neutral space." Valira walked closer to him, her head tilting as she studied his face. She was tall for her species, almost reaching his shoulder. Her large eyes were completely black, reflecting the starlight like mirrors. "You are exactly as I imagined," she said. Her skin pulsed with that same pink color. "Tell me, is it true that humans can survive injuries that would kill most other species?" "We're pretty tough," Taeyong said, feeling slightly uncomfortable under her intense gaze. "But, I plan to avoid getting injured." "And, is it true that humans can run for hours without stopping? That your bodies are built for endurance?" "Your Highness, we should discuss the evacuation plan," Taeyong said, trying to redirect the conversation. He pulled up a map of the station on his wrist display. "The Kryn have been raiding this sector. If they attack, we need to move fast." Valira moved even closer, her skin now shifting to a golden yellow. "Of course. But, I am curious about you, Sergeant. Humans are fascinating. Your species fights with such passion. Do you find me attractive?" Taeyong nearly choked. "Ma'am, that's not. I'm here in a professional capacity." "I see," Valira said, her skin dimming slightly to a soft orange. "Luminari culture is different from yours. We believe in direct communication. But, I will respect your customs." Before Taeyong could respond, the station's alarm began to wail. Red emergency lights flashed throughout the corridor. A voice came over the communication system, speaking in the rapid-fire language of the station's command crew. Valira's skin went pure white, and Taeyong grabbed her arm. "What did they say?" "Kryn ships," she whispered. "They're attacking the station. Multiple warships." Taeyong was already moving, pulling the princess with him toward the emergency exits. He tapped his communicator. "This is Sergeant Taeyong to all Terran personnel. We have a priority evacuation. I need covering fire to Docking Bay 7. Explosions rocked the station. Through the large windows, Taeyong could see Kryn fighters swarming around the station's exterior like angry insects. Their weapons tore through the station's shields, ripping holes in the beautiful crystalline walls. Stay behind me, Taeyong ordered. He drew his plasma rifle and checked the charge. Full power. Good. They ran through the corridors as other diplomats and staff fled in panic. The Lyra kept pace with him despite wearing a long ceremonial gown. Her skin was flashing between white and red now, fear and determination mixing together. A section of the wall exploded inward. 3 Kryn soldiers pushed through the gap, their reptilian faces snarling behind breathing masks. They were big, heavily armored, and carried weapons that looked like they could punch through a tank. Taeyong didn't hesitate. He fired 3 quick bursts, hitting the first Kryn in the chest. The alien staggered but didn't fall. Its armor was too thick. Taeyong cursed and adjusted his aim, targeting the joints where the armor was weaker. His next shot took the Kryn in the neck, and it went down. The other 2 Kryn opened fire. Taeyong grabbed Valira and dove behind a structural pillar as plasma bolts scorched the air where they had been standing. He could feel the heat from the impacts, smell the burning metal. "We need to move," he shouted over the noise. "Can you run?" "Yes," Valira said. Her skin was bright red now, pulsing with her heartbeat. "I will not slow you down." Taeyong laid down suppressing fire and they ran. The Kryn followed, their heavy footsteps echoing in the corridor. More explosions shook the station. The artificial gravity flickered, making them stumble. They reached a maintenance shaft, and Taeyong pulled the access panel open. Inside. Now. Valira climbed into the narrow tunnel without complaint. Taeyong followed, sealing the hatch behind them. Plasma fire from the Kryn hit the door seconds later, but the heavy metal held. In the darkness of the maintenance tunnel, Valira's skin provided the only light. It glowed soft blue now, illuminating their path. They crawled through the tight space, moving toward the lower docking bays. "That was exciting," Valira said from ahead of him. Even now, there was a hint of amusement in her voice. "Exciting isn't the word I'd use," Taeyong muttered. "You moved very fast. And your aim was excellent. Human reflexes are truly impressive. Your Highness, we're still in danger. Maybe save the questions for later." "Of course. But, Sergeant Taeyong." "Yes. Thank you for protecting me. I chose well." Her skin pulsed with gold light, and Taeyong shook his head. He had a feeling this mission was going to be more complicated than he thought. They had to survive the next few hours first. Then, he could worry about why the princess kept looking at him like he was the most interesting thing in the galaxy. The maintenance tunnel opened into Docking Bay 7, where a small courier ship sat waiting. Taeyong helped Valira out of the shaft and immediately swept the area with his rifle. Empty. That was good luck for once. "About time you showed up," a voice called from the ship's ramp. Ji-won stood there, arms crossed, a cocky smile on her face. She was a smuggler who owed the Defense Corps several favors. This was one of them. "Can you fly us out of here?" Taeyong asked, jogging toward the ship with Valira close behind. "I can fly through anything," Ji-won said. She looked at the princess with raised eyebrows. "Didn't know we were babysitting royalty. She gonna be a problem?" "I will not be a problem," Valira said calmly. Her skin had returned to its normal soft purple. "I am grateful for your assistance." Yeah. Get on board before those Kryn bastards blow another hole in this station." They rushed up the ramp, and G1 sealed it behind them. The ship was small but well-maintained. It smelled like oil and recycled air. Taeyong guided Valira to the passenger cabin and made sure she was strapped into a crash seat. "It might get rough," he warned. "I understand," Valira said. Her skin pulsed pink again as she looked up at him. "Will you stay here with me? I need to help G1 with the launch sequence." "Oh." Her skin dimmed to a dull blue. Taeyong felt an unexpected pang of guilt. I'll be right in the cockpit. You're safe now. Because you're here, Valira said softly. That's why I'm safe. Taeyong didn't know how to respond to that, so he just nodded and headed to the cockpit. Ji-won was already in the pilot's seat, her hands flying across the controls. Kryn ships are everywhere, she said. I'm reading at least 6 warships and maybe 30 fighters. They really want someone on this station. Probably the princess, Taeyong said, dropping into the co-pilot seat. The Kryn and the Luminari have been on the edge of war for years. Great. Nothing like being in the middle of an intergalactic incident. Ji-won fired up the engines. Hold on to something. The ship launched from the docking bay like a bullet from a gun. Taeyong felt the G-forces push him back into his seat. Through the viewport, he could see the battle. The station was dying, its shields flickering as Kryn warships pounded it with heavy weapons. Escape pods scattered in every direction like seeds in the wind. 3 fighters breaking off to follow us, Ji-won said calmly. Guess they noticed we left. Plasma fire streaked past the ship. Ji-won banked hard left, then, dove, then, rolled. The courier ship was small and fast, but the Kryn fighters were faster. More weapons fire lit up the darkness of space. Can we jump? Taeyong asked, checking the navigation computer. Not yet. Too much mass around us. Need to get clear of the station first. Ji-won's jaw was tight as she focused on flying. Another 30 seconds. Those 30 seconds felt like hours. The Kryn fighters stayed on them, their weapons getting closer with each shot. One blast hit their rear shields, and the whole ship shuddered. Shields at 60%, Taeyong reported. I know. Just a little more. Ji-won's fingers danced across the controls. Now. The ship jumped into hyperspace. The stars stretched into lines, and, then, they were gone. They were safe, at least for the moment. Ji-won let out a long breath and leaned back in her chair. We're going to make 3 jumps. Random directions. Should shake any pursuit. Taeyong nodded and unstrapped himself. Good flying. I know. Ji-won grinned at him. Hey, your princess turned pink when you were talking to her earlier. You know what that means, right? What? Pink is how Luminari blush. She's into you, soldier boy. That's not. She's just being friendly. Ji-won laughed. Sure. Keep telling yourself that. Taeyong returned to the passenger cabin. Valira was sitting calmly in her crash seat, though her skin was still that dull blue color. When she saw him, it immediately brightened to pink. Are we safe? She asked. For now. We're in hyperspace. The Kryn can't follow us here. Good. Valira unstrapped herself and stood. She was only a few inches shorter than him, and she stood close. Sergeant Taeyong, may I ask you something personal? Sure. Do all humans smell like you? It's very pleasant. Earthy and warm. Taeyong blinked. I guess. I mean, everyone smells a little different. Fascinating. Her skin shifted through several colors, pink to gold to soft orange. And, your body temperature. You're much warmer than my people. Is that normal? Yeah, humans run hot. Helps us survive in different environments. Incredible. Your species adapted to be survivors. It's why you're so strong. She reached out and touched his arm, her fingers cool against his skin. May I? May you what? Feel your muscles. I want to understand how they work. This was getting weird. Your Highness, maybe we should focus on the mission. The mission is to keep me safe until we reach neutral space, Valira said. Her skin pulsed with that golden color. You're doing that perfectly. Now I wish to learn about my protector. Is that not reasonable? She had a point, sort of. Taeyong sighed. Fine. But, just for a minute. Valira smiled, her skin glowing brightly. She placed both hands on his arm, feeling the muscle there. Her touch was gentle and cool. Your people are built differently than mine, she said quietly. Luminari are fragile. We evolved on a world with low gravity and no predators. We never needed to be strong. But, humans, you come from a death world. You had to fight for everything. Earth isn't that bad, Taeyong said. Your planet has extreme weather. Predators. Disease. Natural disasters. And, yet humans thrived. More than thrived. You reached the stars. Her hands moved to his shoulder. You're amazing. I'm just a soldier. No. You're human. That makes you special. Taeyong didn't know what to say. He'd never thought of himself as special. He was just doing his job. But, the way Valira looked at him, with those black mirror eyes, made him feel like maybe he was something more. We should rest, he said, stepping back gently. We've got a long journey ahead. Valira's skin dimmed slightly but, she nodded. You're right. Thank you, Sergeant. For everything. As she settled back into her seat, Taeyong returned to the cockpit. Ji-won glanced at him with a knowing smile. Shut up, he said before she could speak. I didn't say anything, Ji-won replied, still grinning. But, for the record, she's definitely into you. Luminari skin doesn't lie. Taeyong groaned and closed his eyes. This was going to be a very long mission. The ship dropped out of hyperspace near a frontier colony world called Haven's Edge. G1 had insisted they needed to stop for repairs and supplies. The Kryn attack had damaged more systems than she'd initially thought. I need at least 6 hours, G1 said as they descended toward the colony's main settlement. Maybe 8. Make it fast, Taeyong replied. He didn't like staying in one place too long. The Kryn were persistent, and they had good tracking technology. The colony was small, maybe a few thousand people. Most of the buildings were prefabricated structures dropped from orbit years ago. It wasn't pretty, but it was functional. People here came to make a fresh start or to hide from something. No one asked too many questions. They landed at the main spaceport, and G1 immediately started arguing with a mechanic about parts and prices. Taeyong turned to Valira, who was looking out at the colony with interest. Stay on the ship, he said. I need to get supplies. Food, water, medical gear. I want to come with you, Valira said. Her skin was bright yellow, which he'd learned meant she was excited. That's not a good idea. Why not? I've never seen a human colony before. And, you can protect me, can't you? She looked up at him with those mirror eyes. Please. I promise to stay close. Taeyong wanted to say no, but, something in her expression made him hesitate. She'd been cooped up on diplomatic stations and ships for who knows how long. Maybe a little fresh air would be good for her. Fine. But, you do exactly what I say, when I say it. Understood? Yes, Sergeant. Her skin pulsed with gold light. They walked into the colony's market district. It was loud and crowded, with merchants selling everything from food to weapons to engine parts. People from a dozen different species moved through the narrow streets. Most ignored them, but Taeyong noticed a few stares. A Luminari princess was an unusual sight in a place like this. Valira stayed close to him, her arm linked through his. She claimed it was for safety, but Taeyong suspected she just wanted an excuse to touch him. Her skin was a happy golden color as she looked around at everything with wonder. This is wonderful, she said. So much life and energy. So different from the diplomatic stations. It's dangerous, Taeyong replied. Keep your eyes open. They stopped at a supply shop, and Taeyong bought ration packs, water purification tablets, and a basic medical kit. The shopkeeper, a grizzled human woman with cybernetic eyes, looked at Valira with curiosity. You two make a cute couple, she said. We're not, Taeyong started. Thank you, Valira interrupted, her skin glowing brighter. He's very protective of me. The shopkeeper smiled. Bet he is. You take care, honey. As they left the shop, Taeyong glared at Valira. Why did you let her think we're together? Does it bother you? Valira asked innocently. It's not professional. Ah. Professional. Her skin dimmed slightly. Is that all I am to you? A mission? Your Highness, Valira. Please, call me Valira. We've been through combat together. Surely we can use our names. Before Taeyong could respond, he spotted movement in his peripheral vision. 3 figures in dark clothing, moving too purposefully through the crowd. His hand moved to his sidearm. We need to go. Now. What's wrong? Don't look, just walk. Back to the ship. But, it was too late. The 3 figures moved to block their path. They pulled back their hoods, revealing Kryn faces. How had they found them so fast? The princess, one of them hissed in broken English. You give her to us. No one gets hurt. Not happening, Taeyong said. He put himself between Valira and the Kryn. People in the market started backing away, sensing trouble. Stupid human. You die for nothing. The Kryn drew weapons. Taeyong was faster. He drew his pistol and fired in one smooth motion, hitting the first Kryn in the chest. The alien went down hard. The other 2 scattered, firing back. Plasma bolts seared through the air. Run! Taeyong shouted at Valira. But, she didn't run. Instead, she pulled a small device from her gown and pointed it at one of the Kryn. A beam of blue energy shot out, hitting the alien's weapon. The gun exploded in the Kryn's hand, and he screamed in pain. I said I wouldn't be a problem, Valira said calmly. Her skin was burning bright red. Taeyong took down the 3rd Kryn with 2 shots. The market was in chaos now, people running and screaming. He grabbed Valira's hand and ran. Behind them, he could hear more shouts in the Kryn language. There were more of them. They sprinted through the narrow streets, Valira keeping pace despite her long gown. Her skin flashed between red and white, fear and determination mixing. Taeyong led them down an alley, then another, trying to lose their pursuers. The ship is 3 blocks north, he said, breathing hard. Adrenaline pumped through his veins. They're still following, Valira said. I can hear them. She was right. The Kryn were persistent hunters. Taeyong looked around and spotted a warehouse. He kicked the door open and pulled Valira inside. It was dark and filled with storage containers. A good place to hide, or to make a stand. Get behind those crates, he ordered. Stay down. For once, Valira didn't argue. She moved quickly to the hiding spot. Taeyong positioned himself near the door, pistol ready. He counted his shots. Maybe 15 left. Against how many Kryn? The door burst open. 4 Kryn soldiers poured in, weapons sweeping the darkness. Taeyong waited until they were all inside, then opened fire. He hit one, then another. The Kryn scattered, taking cover behind the storage containers. A firefight erupted in the warehouse. Plasma bolts and bullets flew in the darkness. Taeyong moved constantly, never staying in one place. The Kryn were strong and tough, but they weren't used to fighting humans. They expected targets to stay still, to follow predictable patterns. Humans didn't do that. He flanked one Kryn and took him down with 3 shots. Another came at him from the side, and he dodged, letting the alien's momentum carry him past. A quick shot to the back of the head, and that one was down too. But the last Kryn had found Valira's hiding spot. The alien moved toward her, weapon raised. Taeyong's pistol was empty. He didn't think, just reacted. He threw himself at the Kryn, hitting him like a linebacker. They went down together, rolling across the floor. The Kryn was bigger and stronger, but Taeyong was faster. He got his hands around the alien's throat and squeezed. The Kryn thrashed, trying to throw him off, but Taeyong held on with grim determination. Seconds passed like hours. Finally, the Kryn stopped moving. Taeyong stood up, breathing hard. His hands were shaking from the adrenaline crash. Valira ran to him, her skin a swirling mix of colors. "You're hurt," she said, touching his face. He tasted blood. Must have caught an elbow during the fight. "I'm fine. We need to get to the ship. You saved me again." Her skin pulsed with deep violet light. In the dim warehouse, it was beautiful. "Taeyong. I need to tell you something." "Not now. We have to move." "Yes, now." She grabbed his arm, making him look at her. "I didn't request a human protector just because your people are good fighters. I requested you specifically. I've been watching humans for years, studying your culture. And, when I saw your file, I knew I wanted you to be the one protecting me. Your Highness, Valira." "Valira," he said, and her skin brightened at the sound of her name from his lips. "This isn't the time." "There might not be another time," she said quietly. "We might die tomorrow. So I want you to know that I chose you. Not just as a bodyguard. I chose you." Taeyong looked into those black mirror eyes and saw his own reflection. He saw a man who'd been alone for a long time, who'd built walls around himself in the name of duty and professionalism. And he saw something else. A chance for something more. "We should go," he said softly. But he didn't pull away from her touch. "Yes," she agreed. Her skin glowed soft gold. "But, later, we talk. Promise me." "I promise." They made it back to the ship without encountering more Kryn. G1 had finished the repairs and was ready to launch. As they lifted off from Haven's Edge, Taeyong sat in the cockpit and tried not to think about what Valira had said. But her words kept echoing in his mind. She had chosen him. Not just as a protector, but as something more. And, somewhere deep inside, he realized he'd chosen her too. The Kryn interceptor came out of nowhere. One moment they were cruising through empty space, the next moment alarms were screaming and the ship was shaking from weapons fire. "Hold on!" G1 yelled, her hands flying across the controls. She threw the ship into a hard turn, but the Kryn interceptor was faster. Another blast hit their engines. "We're losing power," Taeyong said, watching the systems fail one by one on his display. "Can you keep us in the air?" "Not for long." G1's face was tight with concentration. "I'm reading a planet below us. Uncharted. No colonies, no stations. It's our only option. Do it." The ship plummeted through the atmosphere, trailing smoke and fire. Taeyong ran back to the passenger cabin where Valira was strapped into her crash seat, her skin pure white with fear. "We're going to crash," he said, checking her restraints. "Keep your head down and hold on." "Will we survive?" she asked quietly. "We're human and Luminari. We're survivors." He tried to smile. "Just hold on." The ship hit the treetops of a dense jungle and tore through them like paper. Metal screamed. Systems exploded. The world spun in crazy circles. Then, everything went black. Taeyong woke up to pain and the smell of smoke. He was hanging upside down in his crash seat, blood dripping from a cut on his forehead. He hit the release and dropped to what was now the ceiling. "Valira?" His voice was rough. "Here." Her voice came from the passenger cabin. "I'm okay." He stumbled through the wrecked ship and found her. She'd managed to free herself and was kneeling beside G1, who was unconscious but breathing. Her skin was a worried dark blue. "She's alive," Valira said. "But hurt. Her leg is broken." Taeyong checked G1's vitals. Valira was right. Broken leg, maybe some cracked ribs, but she'd live. He found the medical kit and gave G1 a shot of painkillers. "She'd sleep for hours. Can we stay here?" Valira asked. "No." Taeyong checked his wrist display. The signal was weak but working. "I'm reading a distress beacon about 20 kilometers north. Old Terran military installation, probably abandoned. But it'll have a working transmitter." 20 kilometers through jungle, Valira said, looking out at the thick vegetation visible through the cracked viewport. "Can I make it?" "Can you?" She looked at him, and her skin shifted from blue to red. Determination. "Yes. If you're with me, yes." They gathered what they could. Taeyong took his rifle, his pistol, extra ammunition, water, and rations. Valira found a smaller energy weapon and insisted on carrying half the water. Before they left, Taeyong made G1 as comfortable as possible and left her a pistol within reach. "Stay alive," he whispered to the unconscious pilot. "We'll be back." The jungle was thick and hot. Within minutes, Taeyong was sweating through his uniform. Valira walked beside him, her skin constantly shifting colors as she reacted to the strange environment. Every sound made her jump. Every shadow could hide danger. They walked for hours. Taeyong used his navigation system to guide them north, cutting through the undergrowth with a survival knife. The jungle was alive with sounds. Strange bird calls. Insect buzzes. Things moving in the trees above them. "Tell me about Earth," Valira said as they pushed through a particularly thick section of vines. "What's it like?" "Why do you want to know?" "Because I want to understand you. Your world shaped you. Made you who you are." Taeyong thought about it as they walked. "Earth is beautiful and terrible. We have oceans that can swallow ships. Mountains that touch the sky. Deserts that go on forever. And people. So many different people, all trying to survive together. It sounds wonderful." "It is. And it's home. Do you miss it?" "Every day." They walked in comfortable silence for a while. Then, Valira spoke again. "When this is over, when I'm safe in neutral space, what will you do?" "Go back to duty, I guess. Take on another mission." "Just like that? No rest? No time for yourself?" "It's what I do. It's who I am." "Is that all you want to be? A soldier?" The question hit harder than Taeyong expected. Was that all he was? He'd been in the Defense Corps for 10 years. It had become his whole identity. But, lately, walking beside this alien princess who looked at him like he was something special, he'd started to wonder if there could be more. "I don't know," he admitted. Valira's skin shifted to a soft purple. She reached out and took his hand. Her fingers were cool and delicate in his rough, calloused palm. "You could be anything," she said quietly. "You could be my protector always. Not because it's your mission, but because you want to be." Before Taeyong could respond, the sky opened up. Rain poured down in sheets, soaking them in seconds. They found shelter under a rocky overhang, huddling together in the small dry space. In the darkness, Valira's skin provided the only light. It glowed soft blue, then, shifted to purple, then, to a deep violet. Her bioluminescence was beautiful in the darkness, casting strange shadows on the rock walls. "I've never seen rain before," she said, watching the water pour down outside their shelter. "Luminary worlds have weather control. Everything is managed and safe. This is real weather," Taeyong said. "Unpredictable and dangerous. Like you," she said, looking up at him. "Real and unpredictable and a little dangerous. That's what I love about humans. You're not controlled. You're wild and free." She was so close. Her skin was glowing brighter, cycling through colors he'd never seen before. Purple to violet to deep blue. Her eyes reflected his face like dark mirrors. "Valira," he started. "I know," she interrupted. "Duty first. Mission first. I understand. But, Taeyong, listen to me. Among my people, we believe that duty and desire don't have to be separate. Choosing to protect someone you care about makes the duty stronger. It gives you something to fight for, not just something to fight against. And, if I fail? If I can't protect you because I'm too busy caring about you? You won't fail. You're human. Humans don't quit. Especially not when they're protecting something they love." The word love hung in the air between them. Taeyong's heart was racing. When had this happened? When had she become more than a mission? More than just another person to protect? "We should rest," he said, his voice rough. "The rain will stop soon, and we need to keep moving." Valira nodded, but she didn't move away. Instead, she leaned against him, her head resting on his shoulder. Her skin pulsed with soft gold light. "Thank you," she whispered. "For everything. For being exactly who you are." Taeyong closed his eyes. Outside, the rain continued to fall. In the morning, they'd reach the beacon. They'd send a distress signal. Help would come. But, right now, in this moment, it was just the two of them in the darkness of an alien jungle. And, it felt right. The rain stopped before dawn. They packed up their gear and continued north. Taeyong's navigation system showed they were close now. Maybe another 5 kilometers to the beacon. That's when they heard it. A sound that didn't belong in the jungle. The hum of hover engines. The Kryn had found them. Taeyong grabbed Valira's hand and ran. Behind them, he could hear the Kryn soldiers crashing through the jungle. Their heavy breathing. Their guttural shouts in their own language. "Go," he shouted at Valira. "Get to the beacon. I'll hold them off." "No." Her skin flashed bright red. "I won't leave you. Valira, please. You have to survive. Your people need you. The Alliance needs you. And, I need you," she said fiercely. "So we go together, or we don't go at all." There was no time to argue. The Kryn were getting closer. Taeyong made a quick decision. He pulled Valira into a dense section of undergrowth and, they went still. Silent. The Kryn soldiers ran past them, following the trail they'd left. "They'll figure it out soon," Taeyong whispered. "When they do, we run. Stay close to me." Valira nodded, her skin cycling through anxious colors. They waited. Seconds felt like hours. Then, distantly, they heard the Kryn shouting. They'd realized their prey had doubled back. "Now," Taeyong said. They ran through the jungle, heading for the beacon. Behind them, the Kryn gave chase. Weapons fire cut through the trees. Plasma bolts set leaves on fire. It was a race now, pure and simple. Could they reach the beacon before the Kryn caught them? Taeyong's lungs burned. His legs ached. But, he kept running. Beside him, Valira matched his pace, her determination keeping her going even though her people weren't built for this kind of physical stress. Then, he saw it. Through the trees. A clearing. And, in the clearing, an old Terran military bunker. The beacon. Almost there, he gasped. They burst into the clearing. The Kryn were right behind them, maybe 30 seconds back. Taeyong ran for the bunker door and prayed it still worked. He hit the control panel and the door slid open with a rusty groan. They stumbled inside. Taeyong slammed his hand on the door controls and it closed just as plasma fire from the Kryn hit the exterior. The heavy door held. They were safe. For now, the bunker was dark and dusty, abandoned for years. Emergency lights flickered on as they entered, casting everything in a dim red glow. Outside, the Kryn were trying to break through the door, but it was solid military-grade steel. It would hold. Find the transmitter, Taeyong said, moving to a weapons locker. He found a few spare magazines for his pistol and some grenades. Good. Valira worked at the communications console, her fingers moving quickly over the ancient controls. Her skin was cycling through colors rapidly, showing her stress and concentration. It's damaged, she said after a moment. But, I can fix it. Give me 10 minutes. Outside, the weapons fire stopped. The Kryn had realized they couldn't break through the door. That meant they'd either give up or try to find another way in. Taeyong did a quick sweep of the bunker. It was small, just 3 rooms. Communications room, weapons room, and what looked like old crew quarters. There was one other door, a service entrance. He sealed it and pushed a heavy equipment rack in front of it. How are we doing? He called to Valira. Almost there. The power cells were depleted but I'm rerouting from the backup systems. Her skin flashed with gold light. I've modified the signal. It will only be readable by Terran ships. The Kryn won't be able to track it. Smart. I'm not just a pretty princess, she said with a small smile. Despite the danger, Taeyong found himself smiling back. No. You're not. The communications console beeped. Valira's skin brightened to a brilliant gold. It's working. I'm transmitting now. Repeating distress signal with our coordinates. How long until someone picks it up? Hours. Maybe a day if we're lucky. A day. They had to hold this bunker for a day. Taeyong checked his ammunition. He had maybe 50 rounds left total. Some grenades. A knife. It would have to be enough. A sound made him turn. The service door was shaking. The Kryn had found it. They were trying to force it open. The equipment rack scraped across the floor an inch. They're coming in through the back, he said. Valira looked at him, her skin cycling between red and white. Fear and determination. What do we do? You stay here. Keep broadcasting that signal. I'll hold them off. No. She grabbed his arm. We do this together. Valira, together, she repeated firmly. Her skin was burning bright red now. I can fight. You've seen me fight. I'm not helpless. She was right. She'd proven herself capable. And, honestly, he could use the help. Okay. But, you follow my lead. Understood? Understood. The service door burst open. The equipment rack toppled over with a crash. 3 Kryn soldiers pushed through, weapons ready. Taeyong opened fire immediately, dropping the first one. Valira fired her energy weapon, hitting the second in the shoulder. The Kryn roared in pain but kept coming. The bunker erupted into chaos. Taeyong and Valira fought side by side, moving as one unit. He covered high, she covered low. When he reloaded, she provided covering fire. When her weapon overheated, he stepped forward to protect her. More Kryn poured through the door. How many had followed them? Taeyong didn't have time to count. He just kept fighting. His training took over. Shoot. Move. Shoot again. Never stay still. Never give them an easy target. A Kryn got past his guard and lunged at him. Taeyong dropped his rifle and drew his knife, catching the alien's wrist. They struggled, the Kryn's superior strength pushing him back. Then, the Lyra was there, her energy weapon pressed against the Kryn's side. She pulled the trigger and the alien went down. Behind you, she shouted. Taeyong spun and threw his knife. It caught a Kryn in the throat. The alien dropped its weapon and fell. Then, suddenly, it was quiet. 6 Kryn bodies lay in the bunker. Taeyong and the Lyra were both breathing hard, covered in dirt and blood. The Lyra's ceremonial gown was torn and scorched. Her skin was a swirling mix of red and gold. Are you hurt? Taeyong asked. No. You. I'm fine. He moved to the service entrance and looked out. More Kryn in the jungle, but they were holding back now. Wary. They're regrouping. How many more? Too many. The Lyra came to stand beside him. She was shaking slightly, the adrenaline wearing off. Without thinking, Taeyong put his arm around her shoulders. She leaned into him, her skin shifting to a soft purple. I'm scared, she admitted quietly. Me too. But, you're human. You don't get scared. We get scared all the time. We just don't let it stop us. He looked down at her. That's what makes us human. We're afraid, but we fight anyway. She smiled up at him, her skin glowing brighter. That's what I love about you. Your people. All of it. Lyra. I know. Now isn't the time. She pulled away from him and went back to the communications console. But, when we get out of this, and we will get out of this, I'm not letting you go. I'm keeping you. Despite everything, Taeyong laughed. I'm not yours to keep. Not yet. But, you will be. Her skin flashed gold. I'm very patient. And, very determined. The next few hours were tense. The Kryn made several more attempts to breach the bunker, but, each time Taeyong and the Lyra drove them back. His ammunition was running low. Down to his last magazine. But, still no response to their distress signal. Why isn't anyone answering? The Lyra asked, frustrated. We're deep in uncharted space. It takes time for the signal to reach anyone. What if no one comes? Someone will come. They have to. As if in answer, the communications console beeped. A voice came through, scratchy but clear. This is the Terran battlecruiser Indomitable. We've received your distress signal. Transmitting coordinates to you now. Hold your position. Extraction team is inbound. ETA 30 minutes. The Lyra's skin exploded in brilliant gold light. They're coming. 30 minutes, Taeyong said. We just have to hold for 30 more minutes. The Kryn must have heard the transmission too, because suddenly, they attacked with renewed fury. All of them at once, trying to overwhelm the bunker before rescue arrived. Plasma fire tore through the walls. The service door exploded inward. Taeyong fired his last rounds and drew his pistol. Beside him, the Lyra's energy weapon was overheating but she kept firing anyway. They fell back to the communications room, using the doorway as a choke point. A grenade rolled into the room. Taeyong kicked it back out and it exploded among the Kryn. More came. They just kept coming. Taeyong's pistol clicked empty. He drew his knife. Get behind me, he ordered the Lyra. No. Her skin was pure red now, burning like fire. "We stand together." And they did. Back to back in the communications room, fighting with everything they had. Taeyong with his knife. Valira with her energy weapon and her own surprising ferocity. Minutes stretched into eternity. Then, finally, the sound of engines. Human engines. The Indomitables extraction team burst into the bunker, Marines in full combat armor. They tore through the remaining Kryn like a hurricane. "Are you Sergeant Taeyong?" one Marine asked. "Yeah," he gasped. "We're getting you out of here. Both of you." The flight back to the Indomitable was a blur. Taeyong and Valira sat in the extraction shuttle, exhausted and battered but alive. Valira's hand found his and held on tight. Her skin was a peaceful blue now. "We made it," she whispered. "Yeah. We did." On board the Indomitable, they were taken to medical. Taeyong had cracked ribs and multiple cuts and bruises, but nothing serious. Valira was bruised and exhausted but otherwise unhurt. After treatment, they were given quarters to rest. The battlecruiser made 3 more jumps, finally, reaching neutral space 2 days later. The journey passed in a strange quiet. Taeyong and Valira saw each other only briefly, always surrounded by other people. Crew members. Diplomats. The captain wanting reports. Finally, they reached the neutral zone station. A Luminari diplomatic shuttle was waiting to take Valira home. Taeyong escorted her to the docking bay, his orders complete. His mission finished. They stood at the shuttle ramp, not speaking. Around them, crew members and diplomats moved about their business, but Taeyong only saw her. Valira's skin was a deep, sad blue. "So this is it," she said quietly. "Yeah. You'll go back to Earth. Get your promotion. Take on new missions. That's the plan. And I'll return to the Luminari homeworld. Resume my diplomatic duties. Marry whoever my family chooses for me." Her skin dimmed even more. A good match. Politically advantageous. Something in Taeyong's chest twisted painfully. The thought of her with someone else, some Luminari noble who'd never fought beside her, never seen her fierce and brave and beautiful. "Valira. It's okay." She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "You did your duty. You protected me. You got me to safety. That's all you promised." She stepped closer and placed one cool hand on his cheek. "Thank you, Taeyong. For everything. I'll never forget you." She turned and walked up the shuttle ramp. Taeyong watched her go, something screaming inside him to stop her, to say something. But, what? He was a soldier. She was a princess. They came from different worlds. It couldn't work. The shuttle door began to close. "Wait," he heard himself say. The door stopped. Valira turned, her skin brightening to a hopeful yellow. Taeyong took a breath. "You asked me once what I wanted to be. If being a soldier was all I wanted." He walked toward the shuttle. "I've been thinking about that. And, I think I want to be more than just orders and missions. I want to choose what I protect. Who I protect." Valira's skin was cycling through colors so fast it was like a rainbow. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying that I'm requesting reassignment. To the Luminari Embassy. As your permanent security attaché." He stopped at the base of the ramp, looking up at her. "If you'll have me. If I'll." Valira laughed, and her skin exploded in brilliant gold light. She ran down the ramp and threw her arms around him. "You impossible, stubborn, wonderful human. Of course I'll have you." Taeyong held her close, breathing in her scent. She smelled like starlight and strange flowers. Like home. You know this means you're stuck with me, she whispered against his chest. I told you I was keeping you. I know. And, luminary courtships last years. It's very proper and, formal. I can be patient. She pulled back to look at him, her skin glowing so bright it lit up the docking bay. No, you can't. But, that's okay. I'll teach you. She stood on her toes and pressed her cool forehead against his. Together. Together, he agreed. 3 months later, Taeyong stood in the gardens of the Luminary Embassy on the neutral world of Haven. He wore his dress uniform, though he'd officially transferred from the Defense Corps to the Diplomatic Security Service. It was strange not being a soldier anymore. But, it was a good kind of strange. Valira found him there, walking through the carefully tended alien flowers. She wore a gown of shifting colors that matched her mood, currently a happy gold and purple mix. The Galactic Council session went well, she said, taking his hand. We're making progress on the trade agreements. That's good. Walk with me. They walked through the gardens in comfortable silence. This had become their routine over the past months. After her diplomatic duties ended for the day, they'd walk together, talking about everything and nothing. I have a question, Valira said after a while. Her skin shifted to pink, and Taeyong smiled. He'd learned that meant she was about to ask something personal. What? Human courtship customs. I've been studying them. There's one I particularly liked. Something about asking someone to be with you. Forever. Taeyong stopped walking. His heart was suddenly racing. Valira. I know it's too soon by Luminary standards. We've only known each other for months. But, you're human, and humans follow their hearts. She turned to face him, her skin cycling through every color he'd ever seen and some he hadn't. So I'm asking you, in the human way. Will you be mine? Not just as my protector, but as my partner. My everything. Taeyong looked at this alien princess who'd changed his whole life. Who'd made him question everything he thought he knew about duty and purpose. Who'd shown him that sometimes the best thing to protect was the person standing right in front of you. Yes, he said simply. Valira's skin went supernova, so bright that people across the garden stopped to stare. She laughed and pulled him close, and Taeyong held her and knew he'd made the right choice. His duty had been to protect her. But, somewhere along the way, it had become so much more. It had become his choice. His future. His home. And, that, he thought as Valira asked him yet another question about human customs, was exactly where he wanted to be.